screams without voice. Come closer. Yeah, right there. This isn't a story you listen to from across the fire. This one needs the silence and pauses. The places where your breath catches without asking permission. Arthur Hale understood fear. Real fear. He had earned it, decades underground, a retired miner who'd learned how darkness presses back when you push too far. Where weight matters, pressure matters, and silence isn't comforting, it's practical. Down there, silence keeps you alive. You survive by knowing exactly what can kill you and how long you have before it does. Hospitals, though. Hospitals lie. They whisper. They promise. They soften their voices like danger listens to tone. Like pain shrinks if you don't name it too loudly. Arthur sat on the edge of the bed in a paper gown that felt thinner than it should have been. His boots were lined up beneath the chair, toes forward, ready, habits that never retire. Marion stood beside him, reading the consent form again. Not because she needed to, because reading feels like control. It's routine, the nurse said. Smooth voice. Practiced smile. Gallbladders come out every day. Arthur smiled back. That's what people do when they're expected to. I've slept through worse, he said, and he meant it. Pain had rules. Pain announced itself. Pain ended. Marion squeezed his hand. You'll be fine, she said. They wheeled him down the corridor. Ceiling lights slid past in a steady rhythm. The air smelled sharp, sterile, scrubbed of anything human. Arthur noticed how the hallway narrowed the deeper they went, how voices lowered without being asked. Doors sealed behind him with a soft final sound. Inside the operating room, the light was intense but empty. Not warm, not kind, just there. People moved with efficient precision. Masks hid mouths, caps hid hair. Only eyes showed, focused, unreadable. Some wore lamps on their heads, beams pointed down with careful certainty. Arthur noticed everything. He always did. It was how he survived. The anesthetist leaned close, explained the process. The needle slid in, a brief sting, then warmth. Arthur waited for the drift, the soft fade, the edges dissolving. It didn't happen. The ceiling stayed sharp. Machines hummed. A strap tightened across his chest. Arthur tried to speak. Just one word, but his mouth didn't move. The lights didn't move either, and somewhere, quietly, without permission, time stopped behaving the way it should. His mind reached backward into old tunnels, old collapses, old deaths narrowly avoided. Helmets, lamps, men leaning close. For a moment, that explanation almost worked. He woke up almost screaming like he'd been yanked upward. Not gently, not gradually. One moment, nothing. The next, his lungs burned. Air came in shallow, panicked bursts. His body jerked, searching for commands it couldn't obey. Marion was there instantly. Arthur, she said, you're home, you're safe. Arthur didn't answer. His eyes were too wide, too awake. They were here, he whispered. They didn't stop. Marion reached for the lamp. The room snapped bright. Arthur recoiled hard, hands up, shielding his face. No, he begged. Don't turn it on. They're dead miners, he whispered. The ones who never came back up. His breath hitched, shallow and broken. Masks on their faces, lamps on their heads, sharp tools in their hands. They rushed me, held me down, cut me again and again. When the light hits you, that's when they attack. Marion told herself it was trauma, old mining ghosts bleeding into the present. Arthur wouldn't lie flat. He paced. Brightness made him flinch. Phone light made him turn away. That's how they find you, he said. Sleep came in fragments, sitting upright, waking every few minutes with a sharp inhale. His dreams had no images, only pressure, weight, being pinned. Doctors explained it easily. Delirium, anxiety, adjustment. Sedatives dulled the edges but sharpened the fear. One afternoon, a masked orderly passed by. Arthur froze. That's one of them, he whispered. By week's end, Arthur looked hollow, as if something essential hadn't been put back correctly. The last night, he was calm, too calm. They opened me, he said. Then he was gone. No warning. Just absence. Paperwork followed. Cardiac event. Calm voices. Clean signatures. Then Celeste Warren arrived. No badge, no uniform. Just questions that didn't rush. Interviews followed. Nurses, doctors, perfect answers. Until Lydia. Lydia was a junior surgical nurse, the one assigned to suction and instruments that morning, standing close enough to witness everything firsthand. She spoke to Celeste in a supply room that smelled of disinfectant and cold metal. Her eyes were red. Her hands shook. He wasn't asleep, she said. He was awake the whole time. Celeste waited. Paralyzed, Lydia said. Body still, mind clear. Silence pressed in. He couldn't scream, Lydia said. Couldn't move, but his eyes. She broke. They were begging. Celeste spoke gently. He described headlamps and sharp weapons. Lydia nodded, wiping her face. Headlamps, she said. Surgeons wear them, so the field stays visible. A breath that shuddered. And the blades, scalpels, clamps, instruments. Her voice cracked. He felt everything. Every incision, every cut, every pull. Celeste didn't look away. And the memory? She asked quietly. Lydia nodded again. Suppression drugs, so patients don't remember. A whisper, so we can sleep at night. That evening, Celeste stood in Marion's kitchen. The house felt too careful, as if it had learned how to listen. Erased? Marion whispered, the word tasting wrong. Memory suppression, Celeste said. But pain doesn't always listen. Marion's hands trembled on the counter. But his body remembered. Yes, Celeste said. They weren't minors, Marion said, the truth finally settling. No, Celeste replied, they were surgeons. The light hummed overhead. Marion reached for the switch, then stopped. Arthur had learned something. Light reveals. Darkness listens. She sat in the dark, knowing that somewhere, beneath memory, beneath language, Arthur's scream still exists. Perfectly preserved, unheard, and now, so does yours. The end.